Well, to tell us a little bit more about the Climate Change Africa survey, I'm now joined on the line by AfroBarometer's communications coordinator in Southern Africa, Gugu Nonjinge. Gugu, thanks very much for joining us. Always a pleasure to talk to you and get a sense of how people across the country, across the continent, are thinking about certain issues. Today, climate change. How did you go about doing this study, and who did you talk to?
So thank you for having me, Peter. So AfroBarometer conducts a survey across different topics and different themes, and climate change happens to be one of them. But before we even began asking about climate change, we further wanted to assess climate conditions of citizens. So basically understanding if the level of drought, of floods in the country has changed or in their respective communities. So that's where we began. So we did about 40,000 interviews across the continent in 34 countries.
All right, so take us through some of the key findings.
So some of the key findings basically underline that a majority of Africans are actually keen of the awareness of climate change, even though in some countries it goes the opposite direction. And also across the continent, among the people who have heard of climate change, a large proportion of them say that it's making us worse. But also what is realized that about 4 in 10 are actually familiar with the concept of climate change. So even though climate conditions have worsened, some of them haven't heard of climate change.
All right, so when you get this information, how do we use it?
This information, I think for us, not necessarily as AfroBarometer, but as a continent at large, it's quite useful because those who are actually much more impacted by the effects of climate change are the ones that are seemingly not aware of climate change. So, for example, AfroBarometer in the survey shows that the groups that are less familiar with climate change, or rather those who might be targeted for great targets for awareness raising and advocacy, are those that are in the rural areas, those who are working in agriculture. They are women and they are poor and they're less educated. So government, not necessarily in South Africa, but in the continent, needs to target that specific group of people when it comes to advocacy and raising awareness in climate change.
So how well are we doing in South Africa in comparison to the other parts of the continent in terms of awareness and thinking about what can be done?
So South Africa shows that even though it's a water-stressed country, it's very considerably highly vulnerable to extreme weather patterns that we've seen intensified by droughts and floods. So when we're looking at how South Africa perceives climate conditions for agricultural purposes, for example, the majority or the average in the 34 countries, about 50% of us or within the continent actually say that it's making life worse. And we can actually see that South Africans are actually just below that average at 25%. So in as much as, yes, it is making things worse in South Africa, but when it comes to our awareness and our knowledge, there are countries that are actually much more climate change aware compared to us as South Africans.
And I guess those that are involved in agriculture get to see these patterns a lot more closely and appreciate what's happening.
Yes, definitely. And I think also in as much as it is affecting each and every one of our lives when it comes to things like access to water, when it comes to flooding in our respective communities, the people that are affected the most are those farmers, not just in South Africa. In Uganda, for example, people have been waiting for rain for a number of times. The cyclones that were survived in Mozambique and also in Zimbabwe when it comes to flooding as well. So it's not just a case for South Africa, but also a case for across the continent, and in some regions the weather patterns are quite extreme.
All right, and it's encouraging that, as you were saying earlier, there's a lot of people who, especially in some parts of the continent, who believe that something must be and can be done.
Yes, when we speak to the survey respondents, we actually saw that a significant proportion, which is about 71%, say that climate change needs to be stopped. But only about half actually think that ordinary citizens can do something to actually assist. And I think that's something that we need to interrogate further, because it is caused by human activity, and it is time that we as civil society, together with governments, actually work together when it comes to working towards a climate resilience that requires a much more coordinated and committed effort and approach.
All right, okay, that's where we're going to have to leave it. That's Gugu Nonjinge, who's the Communications Coordinator for AfroBarometer in Southern Africa, telling us about this Climate Change in Africa survey that they did. A lot of people know about it. Sadly, a significant number of people don't. And there is a feeling that something must be done. And a few people believe that there is something that can be done.